YOLO bros, it's your boy JT Jovial Tovi. You already know what it is. Today is a mindful Monday. I haven't done one of those in like 6 months, I think. So I'm gonna come at y'all with a mindful Monday. Something that'll actually help y'all, something that'll actually benefit y'all in the long run. I gotta give some wisdom to the kids. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, let me just go over a few things to help y'all. Before we get into that, you already know what it's gonna be, man. Like, comment, subscribe, share this video. You already know what it is. We get to 100 subs by the end of this month, man. I almost said 100K, but that's a goal in the future too. But we get into 100 subs first by the end of this month. So like, comment, subscribe, share this video, man. Yeah, let's get into it. So this Mindful Monday is gonna be about becoming good at something. Becoming good at something, becoming successful at something, one or the other. It's interchangeable. So it's only three things. Well, that's another thing too. At the end of this, at the end of this, at the end of this video, comment in the comment sections what y'all think y'all should do to become good or successful at something. Like, what's the steps you take to become good or successful at something? So I sat down, I asked myself what you think, what people should do to be successful. And these are the three things that I came up with. And there's like little sub understandings of it. There's like little sub things in between those three things that you have to do. So yeah, the first thing you have to do is you have to love what you do, man. That is like the most important thing. You have to love what you do. Pick something you love to do, because at the end of the day, you're going to be dedicating like your life to it. So it might as well be something you love to do. I'm not going to become good at something it's not important to me, or good at something I don't love. Now, you may have hobbies and whatnot, but I'm going to be good at something that I love doing. I'm going to be good at something that I can see myself doing for the rest of my life. And what's another one? You got to fall in love with the process, because it's not going to happen overnight. You got to love what you do. You got to fall. And another thing that goes with loving what you do is you also got to love the process. You also got to love the process, because it's not going to happen overnight. It's not something that you just say, oh, I'm going to be good at something. You just become good at something. You got to fall in love with the process. It's like bettering yourself. It's like becoming better. You got to fall in love with the process of getting better. You got to fall in love with those times where you wake up, you don't feel like doing something. You got to fall in love with that aspect of it, like becoming good at something. You got to fall in love with the aspects of everything of it. Doing things you don't want to do, doing things you do want to do, doing things like that's, got to fall in love with every aspect of it. Another thing is you got to study. If you want to become good at something, you got to study it. Not like, oh, I'm going to read a book about it. That can be it, but not just that. You got to understand how it works. Like, another example that I always think of is like Kobe Bryant and the game of basketball. Like, he studied the game of basketball, not just how to shoot a shot, but like the mechanics of how things work. And that's another thing too. Study every aspect of it. Like, even the parts that don't involve you, study why people do the things that they do. Study like the chemical of it. Okay, if he does this, that's why he did this, or that's why this happened. You gotta study every part of what you love doing. You gotta study every part of it. And another thing to help you with studying every part of it is you gotta pick somebody. You gotta pick somebody who's at where you are. You gotta pick that person. You gotta shadow them. Not just shadow them where they are right now, but shadow them like where they started from. You gotta like, when you get that drive, you gotta watch them, or like you gotta read about them, whatever it is, whatever is available for you to do. You gotta watch them like from where they started from, or like from where they got that drive and how like they grew. Say you want to be a business owner, for example, right? You watch somebody like who's big right now, or who's where you want to be right now, and see how they got their started. What kind of connections did they make? Who did they branch out to? How did they promote their product? Things like that. You gotta study those people. You gotta study how they became what they are. So let's go back to you gotta study every part of it. You gotta understand every part of it, because there's something else. Studying every part of it means like studying the movement, studying the like inner works of it, and studying like knowing how they work. Because if you know how they work, if you know what they do, then you can start to tweak it. You can't tweak anything if you don't know how it works. I'm not just gonna go into a car and start changing anything when I don't know what those parts do. So it's like a gear. Once you know how those gears work, once you know how those gears work, you can start replacing parts and placing other parts in it to make it work better, to make it function better. So like once you understand those parts, you can start changing stuff to suit you. You can start making it tailor made to you. But you have to understand it first. If you understand it first, then it's going to be easier to replace things. And that's what like studying the part means. Studying what you want to be good at. That's what it means. Um, Once you start studying it, you become good at it. Um, Once you start watching the person, like shadowing the person you want to be like, then you start to see the real life applications of what you're studying. So if you're studying, that's another thing too. If you're studying something, you don't know what it's going towards. Well, I find me personally, like if I'm studying something, I don't know is going towards. It's hard for me to pay attention, or it's hard for me to focus towards it because I don't see the practical application, or I don't see the point of it. So once you see the point of it, or like that's what the shadowing is for. Like you see that person practicing or putting into practice what you're already learning. So once you get started, like once your feet hit the ground, you already have some idea of like how it should look or how it should be done. So once you start doing it, you're like, ah, damn, I didn't meet it, because you would do it like that. Not that you're measuring yourself against them, but like there's a certain standard of which the job should be done. Like if you're playing basketball, you got to defend a certain way, or like if you're doing martial arts, you have to have your stance a certain way, or you have to like do things a certain way. Not that you're measuring yourself against that person, but things just have to be done a certain way, or they have to be done. So that's what the shadowing and the studying each aspect comes from. Because once you start doing it, you'll know what it's supposed to look like, and you know how it should be done. So that's where the pick somebody and shadow them and study every aspect of it go together. And the last thing that I think creates or develops success or being good at something is repetition. It is really, really, really important of repetition. I can't tell you how repetition is gonna affect you. And that goes back into the first thing I said about you gotta love what you do. Because if you don't love what you do, you're not gonna put time. You're not gonna be able to repeat it. You're not gonna like be able to practice. Like that's just why I keep using the Kobe and basketball analogy, because it makes so much sense. See, Kobe, you could tell he loved the game of basketball because he dedicated everything to it. Like you hear stories about how Kobe was the first person in the gym, last person in the gym. That's repetition, and he wouldn't be able to do that if he didn't love the game. So you got to pick something you love, or otherwise that repetition part is not gonna come into play. Like you gotta love what you're doing, so you can dedicate yourself to it. You gotta love it 100%, so you can dedicate 100% of yourself to it. That's a quote. If anybody steals that and I find it online, I'm gonna sue y'all. I'm just joking. But you gotta love everything you do. You gotta love what you do 100%, so you can put 100% of yourself into it. So that's what it is, and repetition too is gonna make you good. You're not just gonna get it on the first try. Unless you're a genius or something, you're not just gonna get it on the first try. So you keep trying, and you become good. And if you keep trying hard enough, they become second nature. That's how habits are built. I forget, but like when I was in high school, a math teacher said this to me once. My math teacher said this to me once. He said people do things 31 times before it become habit. So that's like not. You obviously you don't have to do it like literally 31 times. You don't have to keep counting in your head, but you have to like do it for a long period of time, and then it'll become habit. It'll become ingrained in you. Like morning runs, for example, you don't just wake up and it's a habit. You have to keep going on morning runs, keep going on morning runs, and then one day you wake up. If you don't go on a morning run, it feels weird to you that you have to get it in. That's how you become good at something. That's how you try it. That's how you become good at something, because you keep trying and you keep trying and you keep going and you keep going. You building that repetition, you building that muscle. Like, that's why you go into the gym. You keep lifting. Just one rep or just one time at the gym isn't going to get you all buff. It's building on top of something. It's building a base and building a base on top of that. And then you'll realize, I think that's how construction works too, right? They build a base, and then they build a foundation, and then they build a base again, and then they build a foundation. So once you build a base, you have to build that foundation, and you have to solidify that foundation before you can go on top of something else. That's where repetition comes in. And again, I know I said this a little earlier, but you can't do any of that if you don't love it. You can't study it. You can't put 100% of yourself into it. You can't do repetition part. You can't do any of that if you don't love it. So that's why I started with pick something you love part, because if you don't love any of this, then that whole point is going to seem that the rest of the steps are going to feel forced, and it's not going to benefit you anything if you're just forcing it. So that's just all the wisdom I had to give y'all. Not all of it, but that's just the wisdom that I had to give y'all today. How you become good at something. If you feel as though there are other steps, or if there is something I didn't cover, put it in the comment section. You mean, let's share ideas, man. Let's conversate, man. Let's share ideas. Maybe I didn't think about it, and it could fit very well in it, or maybe your approach is completely different. Let's see what it is, man. That's how we help each other grow. But you know what it is. Like, comment, subscribe, share this video. Let's help this channel get to 100 subs by the end of this month and 200 subs by the end of the year, man. We could do it. It's for sure possible. We could for sure do it. So, like, comment, subscribe. Don't forget to share this video. And it's your boy JT signing out.